Well, good day, everybody, and welcome back to the Better Than Sliced Bread Notes from the Pastor Cave. And as usual, I'm very excited to be with you today. I'm also excited about our new camera. I mentioned it last time around, but it was dark. And so this is the first chance I've had to use it in the light. And it is really sharp. Look, you can see all the lines in my hand here. Wow. Just a really nice camera upgrade for us. And I want to remind you, if you're not already a subscriber, you're just running across this, maybe on Facebook or some other entity, that we really need your subscription. And, basically you are non-existent in the YouTube world until you hit 1,000 subscribers. Like you just don't even count. You're unviable as a human being, according to them. So if we could get to that great number of 1,000, then this little video note broadcast thing that we're doing could really start to reach an awful lot of people, because there are all kinds of changes that happen in the algorithms at that point, and that's what this is all about, just reaching as many people as possible with the words of God. We are speaking of that. So please, like, subscribe, comment, but especially subscribe, get those notifications so that, they show right up on you, so that you know that when we've made another video note, which I think we're up to, I think this one is 58. So we are just really rolling right along. And we will, before we know it, we'll be at 75. So, that'll be, maybe I'll buy more balloons like I did at 50. But anyways, we are in Exodus chapter 19, and what's happened is that the nation of Israel, being led by Moses and Aaron and Joshua, they have finally come to the region of Sinai. It's the wilderness of Sinai. It's not much else around, right? But one thing that is prominent in Sinai is Mount Sinai, which becomes a really important landmark for the Jewish people, and it is the place where God meets with them. I'll just skip down to, because they encamped in front of the mountain, the people of Israel, they encamped in front of the mountain. And then it says in verse 3, while Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him out of the mountain. So here's God speaking, right? God called to him out of the mountain, saying, thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the people of Israel. Okay, so in other words, here's what I want you to preach. Here's what I want you to say. These are the words that I want you to come out of, I want to come out of your mouth. Okay, so making the assumption that God, that as believers, God wants us to speak. What does God want us to say? And we can actually trace this all the way back to here. We can trace it all the way back to Genesis, even with God speaking to Abraham. Okay, but here is a specific thing that God is. I was going to say request, but it's not really a request; it's a requirement. God says, "This is what you're going to say. Here's what you're going to preach to your fellow Israelites." Okay, which brings us to verse 4. Where he says, you yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Okay, so what do I want you to say? What is it, Moses? I brought you all this way with all these people, and you're already having hassles and troubles. What is it that I want you to say? Well, what I want you to say is I want you to remind them of what I've already done, right? Don't just say, well, hey, God's going to do this for you in the future, and God's going to do that for you in the future. of what I've already done, and remind them of the magnitude of what I've already done. These are not little things that I've done. These are big things. These are huge things that I have done. Okay, and then when you get to verse 5, God says, "Now, therefore." Now, therefore. Okay, so you're going to say to the house of Jacob, "Tell the people of Israel, you yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Therefore," okay, testify, preach of what I have already done. "Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine." This is gorgeous. This is beautiful. "And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel." Okay? So I want you to preach what I have done. I want you to talk about it. I want you to remind them of what I've already done. And then spinning off of that, not just grabbing something out of the air, but spinning off of that, here is what you should do because of my deeds. All right, this is what you should do. You should obey my voice. You should keep my covenants, and if you do that, I'm gonna do all these things. I'm gonna accompany you with my presence and with the presence of the supernatural, because let's face it, this then becomes the people of God versus the rest of the whole world, because God's saying, "I'm going to separate you out. I'm going to make you a different kind of people. And if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, okay, I will perform the miracle of keeping you there. I will perform them. It doesn't matter what all the rest of the world wants to do. Maybe they all want to come in and kill you. And indeed, we have found out that pretty much the rest of the world wants to come in and kill the Jewish people even today. Okay, but in spite of all that, I will keep. Here's the miracle: I will keep you. All the earth is mine, right? Everything is mine. So therefore, wherever I put you, I have the power to keep you there. And I have the power to make you into a special people. Indeed, that's a miracle in and of itself. For God to make me into somebody special and to be able to hold me there and keep me there as that person who is different, who is holy unto the Lord. That's a special kind of miraculous power that God has. And so, if you're going to do all of these things, and if you do all of these things, I'm going to keep you. I'm going to keep you there. I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to work to keep you special. I'm going to work to keep you holy. And we actually see this unfold, really, even when the Israelites are not particularly committed to these things. They have their moments. But God brings them through. God carries them through to the point that they are indeed a special group of people who are expected to live differently, right? I mean, the first expectation is, hey, you're going to live with me as your king. You're not going to have a king like everybody else. You're not going to have some dictator or despot who is going to control you. I, God, am going to be your king. And eventually the people reject that. But there's one sign right there of this, this dividing line, this difference that God wants to create in his people. And, just rest assured that if, and I won't say if, God is calling you to become a part of his people. God is calling you to become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. All right? And if he's calling you to do that, that means that he has the power to keep you there. It's not just, hey, show yourself as a member of the kingdom of heaven, follow me, commit yourself to me, and then I'm just going to throw you to the wolves. That's not what God does. God will create whatever miraculous things have to happen in your life to keep you in that kingdom and keep you living and productive in his kingdom. He will provide what he needs to provide for you to be that person. And next time we're going to talk about getting ready to meet with God, because there's some very specific things here that Moses is supposed to teach the people for them to get ready to meet with God, and that ends up being super important for all of us, because we all have to meet with God. Okay, so. Anyways, that's about the first 7 to 9 verses of chapter 19, and it just gives you a little bit to think about today, and not as long as some of the other videos. Vita brevis gloria aeterna. Life is short, glory is eternal. Love the new camera.